Hey there, boxing fans! Welcome back to our channel where we dive into the sweet science. Today, we'll be discussing one of Mexico's finest in Canelo Alvarez. Let me give you a brief introduction to El Terror Rojo before we jump into taking a closer look at his career. Does the name Canelo Alvarez make your heart rate increase? For good reason. This man's skills between the ropes have led many to believe he's the greatest our neighbor to the south has ever produced. With lightning-fast hands and one-punch knockout power, Canelo has been dominating fools since turning pro in his teens. Now in his prime, he remains undefeated and holds belts in 2 weight classes. So pour yourself something strong, my friends, because we're about to examine if this legendary Mexican warrior truly deserves his place among the greats. Early life and beginnings. They say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and in little Canelo's case that rang truer than most. Growing up on the tough streets of Guadalajara, boxing was in his blood from day one, thanks to the influence of his father and uncles who spent their days in the local gymnasium trading leather. Though they never made it big themselves, their love and passion for the sweet science was what fueled the young Canelo's fire. From the moment he first peered through the ropes as a wide-eyed kid and saw his men at work, he was mesmerized. While other muchachos his age were out causing trouble in the streets, 12-year-old Canelo already had his mind set on conquering the amateur circuit. It didn't matter the size or experience of his opponents. He brought the fight to each and every one with a style well beyond his years. Powerful punches and an indomitable warrior spirit became his calling cards. As he developed his skills over the years, Canelo's dedication to his craft was unmatched. While others his age spent their free time in frivolity, this kid remained laser-focused on perfecting his abilities behind closed doors. By 15, it was clear he was ready to take the next step, and with 8 straight explosive KOs to start his pro career, the boxing world took notice that a future star had been born. El Terror Rojo had truly arrived, and from then on it was only a matter of time before he took the world by storm. Dominating the light middleweight division. If they say the measure of a true champion is how long they can reign supreme, and boy did our boy Canelo show the world what that really means. After clawing his way up from the bottom, by age 20 he had that first belt wrapped snugly around his waist. But he was just getting started. Amigos, over the next 5 years, El Terror Rojo made all the other so-called champions look like chumps with a record-shattering 11 title defenses. One by one, he methodically dispatched all comers from across the divisions to become the undisputed king. No one wanted to even think about stepping in the ring with this monster, as Canelo cemented himself as the baddest hombres pound for pound with that signature left hook of doom. But it was the epic 2015 dust-up with Miguel Cotto that really put the whole mundo on notice. This wasn't just any regular champ, but rather the true emperor of the 160-pound throne. Wherever he went after, the whole sport belonged to El Terror Rojo. The rise to middleweight. By 2017, Canelo had well and truly cleaned out the light middleweight division. There was no one left to conquer. But our boy was never one to sit idle, constantly striving for new heights. When he announced he was moving up to 160 to chase Gennady GGG Golovkin's belts, folks thought he'd bitten off more than he could chew. Golovkin was a monster who'd never tasted defeat. What chance did a smaller man have? Only Canelo knew what he was capable of. The night of their showdown was something else, my friends. From the first bell, Canelo took the fight right to GGG with a reckless abandon I ain't never seen before. 3 rounds of absolute warfare later, a perfect counter left hook slammed into Golovkin's chin, and he crashed to the canvas, out cold. The boxing world was in shock. Their monster had been slayed by this little red-headed terror from Mexico. Overnight, doubts about Canelo's move to middleweight were put to bed. Since that signature win, El Terror Rojo has gone from strength to strength at 160. 3 belts now reside around his waist, and he's ran through all comers with his usual brand of controlled violence. It's clear this modern gladiator continues to raise the bar higher with each performance. At middleweight or anywhere he sets his sights, Canelo Alvarez has proven without a doubt that he belongs among the Mexican greats. The future is bright for this legendary champ, and his sights remain firmly set on more history-making conquests. Mexican boxing legacy. They say all good things must come to an end, but Canelo Alvarez just keeps on rising. With 56 wins, just a single blemish on his record, and an astonishing 43 knockouts, he has well and truly cemented his status as an all-time great. But for a proud Mexican warrior like our boy, it was never just about personal glory. Canelo fights not only for himself, but for his entire gente. Every time he steps between those ropes, he carries the weight of an entire nation's boxing-rich history on his shoulders. And time after time, he makes that tricolor flag bounce with pride with every explosive victory. From the legends of old that paved the way, like Chavez Esser and Salvador Sanchez, to modern greats like Canelo, Mexico has always been a powerhouse in the sweet science. But I dare say none have represented their homeland quite like Canelo, who honors the traditions and spirit of lucha libre with everything he does, both in and out of that squared circle. Future generations will tell tales of this man for years to come, the way we still talk about our boxing heroes of yesterday. There is no doubt Canelo Alvarez's contributions have taken Mexican boxing to new heights and cemented his place among the immortals. Viva Mexico! Viva el Terror Rojo! Charismatic personality. While his destructive skills inside that squared circle are enough on their own to captivate audiences the world over, what truly sets El Terror Rojo apart is the larger-than-life personality he brings with him too, hermano. This muchacho radiates more charisma than a room full of politicians, and whether he's jawing with reporters before the dance or getting the fans hyped at weigh-ins, people simply can't take their eyes off him. The energy he exudes is pure contagious dynamite. One part intensity, one part playfulness, and it draws you in like a moth to a flame every single time. I've seen grown men blush under the charm of that million-dollar smile, but it's when those opening bells ring and he springs into action like a coiled mongoose that Canelo truly owns the show. The way he stalks his prey with that glint in his eye and bounce in his step is more than just boxing. It's high art. And don't even get me started on the celebrations after yet another crushing KO. By the time he's done, the crowd is always left begging for more. It's no wonder this muchacho has gained fans in every corner of the globe, because whether you're there for his skills or showmanship, El Terror Rojo always delivers. Philanthropic efforts. While Canelo's ferocity inside the ring is renowned worldwide, what few know is the big heart that lies beneath. Away from the spotlight, this champion dedicates himself to uplifting his community however he can. Through his charity work, he ensures the future holds promise for kids without privilege, funding education programs to level the playing field. But it's not just money that Canelo gives. With each colorful visit to the local children's hospitals, he spreads more joy than the best medicine. I've witnessed myself the smiles he puts on those little faces, reminding them even in hardship that tomorrow will be brighter. It's no surprise he walks like a king amongst our gente in Guadalajara, for they know no son has ever represented them with such honor. Through humble beginnings of his own, Canelo learned early that our true worth isn't defined by belts or banknotes, but rather how high we lift each other up. Whether handing out titles in the ring or hope on the streets, he always fights for what's really important, and inspires all of us to do the same. Critics and controversies. They say no good deed goes unpunished in this world, and boy ain't that the truth for our boy Canelo. With fame and fortune comes a target on your back, and in this dirty game where millions are at stake, the sharks are always circling. Over the years, El Terror Rojo has faced his fair share of haters slinging mud, close calls, dodging real fights, even a hotly disputed drug test. But through it all, this warrior lets his work between the ropes do the talking louder than any mouthy critic ever could. When the doubters said he was protected, our muchacho welcomed any and all challengers with open arms and iron fists. Time after time, he silenced the naysayers by doing what he does best, rising to any occasion with the heart of a true champion. Adversity is nothing new to a product of the tough streets like Canelo. He's faced tougher enemies than men half his size in that ring ever could be. So the next time some pencil pusher questions his greatness, all I can say is let them step up and back it up themselves if they think it's so easy. Our boy's resume speaks for itself. He's the real deal, plain and simple. Global recognition. They say some fighters are stars only in their hometown, but from the moment he burst onto the scene, it was clear Canelo Alvarez was destined for greater things, hermano. Now look at him. This muchacho has gone international and his fan base is more massive than his left hook. Whether he's selling out the historic Azteca Stadium back in Guadalajara or breaking gate records in Vegas, fans flock from every corner of the globe to pay their respects to El Terror Rojo. Casual observers and hardcore aficionados alike are drawn to the magnetism and dynamism he brings like no other pugilist today. His explosive clashes quickly become the most watched on every platform. I've lost count of the arenas I've seen packed to the rafters with screaming fans draped head to toe in the tricolor, waving their hero's name to the heavens. Wherever in the world Canelo goes, he owns the show. From the ring walk entertainment to the fireworks after yet another picture-perfect KO. This modern gladiator has truly become boxing's first world champion, representing not just his homeland but the whole planet. He's living proof that if you fight with the style, heart, and cojones of a true Mexican warrior, the entire mundo will stand up and take notice. Viva El Terror Rojo, the king of this here sport. Legacy and future. Man, it's crazy to think how far our boy Canelo has come in such a short time. At just 32, most fighters would be entering their prime. But from where I'm standing, El Terror Rojo is already a living legend. The way he's dominated the sport, reigned over multiple weight classes with an iron fist, and represented our gente with more pride than any before him. It's plain to see this muchacho will go down as one of the great immortals. Each and every time he steps through those ropes, folks around the world hold their breath in anticipation of witnessing history. What's next for the king? Who will dare challenge his throne next? No matter the challenges that lay ahead, one thing is for certain. Canelo's place among the Mexican boxing pantheon is already cemented forever. Future generations will tell tales of this warrior for years to come, keeping his name alive alongside the legends of yesterday. As long as our boy continues to answer that bell, El Terror Rojo's legacy will only continue to shine brighter. Viva Mexico! Thank you for joining us and for sharing in the journey of Canelo Alvarez. We hope you learned why El Terror Rojo is already a legend in our sport. Please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure. Wherever the road may lead, keep on slugging for your dreams like Canelo with that Mexican warrior spirit. Viva Mexico!